Okay, we can go back live.
We need to knock on the door?
No, all I need to do is wave. Okay, we're back on. Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Dr. Norton for the
There
strategic
has been
plan.
a lot of discussion about the strategic plan, which I have asked the committee to take a look at. I want to thank the subcommittee, Mr. Harrington and Ms. Kaminsky, for working on this with me. We're reviewing it. As you know, the strategic planning process began in April 2004, but it was only last year during the 2005-2006 that we made a concerted effort to do district-wide pardon me, presentations as well as surveys and incorporate all of that. When we first talked about the strategic plan, I also said that the strategic plan is not the data and the information everybody's looking for. That is in the district improvement plan. But we have been bringing the strategic plan to you back in kind of in pieces. As you recall, last spring, in order for it to be a working document, the school district and the school committee, adopted the core values, the mission statement, and the vision statement. So if you look at this report, as I know the committee now has had an opportunity to do so, it simply talks about what is the purpose of a strategic plan, and it's a lot of the history about how we formed those core values, the mission statement, and the vision statement. For our purposes now, because we're moving forward with the district improvement plan, understanding that the district improvement plan and the school improvement plan companion one another. They feed one another. The district improvement plan alerts the schools and says, according to our data, what we've got here, when you write your school improvement plan, here's some of the things that you need to be attending to, as specifically directed in your buildings. At the same time, the school improvement plan, under those school councils, take a look at their data and their needs, and they feed to the district improvement, to the district plan, and says, here are the things that we need at our building. So the district improvement plan, in other words, becomes an umbrella. What is taking, I know people are really anxious to see it. I can't tell you how much I would love to get this off my desk. But the district improvement plan, because this is the first time we have done this in intricate plan, it takes quite a while because we have to get the template into place. This past fall, because the middle school did not meet AYP for grades 6 through 8 special education mathematics, was required to revise their school improvement plan. And we took that occasion to make that our practice one. So Sue Abrams and her school council, as well as her staff, have been working very diligently to get that done. In fact, Ms. Abrams is taking her revision to her school council either this week or I believe it's next week. And then it will be coming to the school committee for adoption. But we're using that same template so that you can see that same working document, that same template, the same demands in the school improvement plan as well as in the district improvement plan. What you will see different from what you've seen in the past is the district improvement plan is for 3 years, and the school improvement plans will be for 2 years. What happens is by the time we adopt it, we're already writing the next one for the school improvement plan. For the district improvement plan, it's our opportunity to take a look at it. If we say this is what our vision is, to say over the next three years, these are some of the things that we want to have in place. It also gives the school committee the opportunity to come back and say to the superintendent, well, you put this down in the district improvement plan. What happened with it? Remembering that there are 4 core values. The first one has to do with educational excellence. So when you see the district improvement plan, and as you see it as described in the strategic plan, it will talk about all of the academics, math, English, history, science, music, foreign language, health and physical education, technology, I believe is in there also. And the department heads are working on those things now. In this plan, as it's described in the strategic plan, it requires them to not only project over the next 3 years, but also talk about, and I think this is crucial, talk about how they are going to assess the progress. So it is broken in, the chart is broken into 3 parts, which you see described here. It talks about what are the instructional objectives that you want to make, what is the student objectives, what will happen with the students, and what are the strategies that we're going to use to get there. If I can use as an example, recently we've been asking, during this budget process, we've been asking department heads for their wish list. And recently the athletic department, being Johnny on the spot, gave us a long list of things that they'd love to see as a wish list. And my question to them, as with all of us, is why? Why do you want that? Because there shouldn't be anything that we're talking about that does not have some impact on instruction, that's going to improve instruction. And so each one of the department heads, and Keith as well, is taking a look at those wish lists and saying, well, which ones are the most important that I want to go to the school committee and say are important for me to implement over 3 years. So it's not just a very long list, but it's some of the things that we're saying we need to be looking at immediately. And if we got that, what kind of impact would it have on our schools? So under the strategic plan, as you read this, what you're seeing is it's just saying what the district goals will include, how the school improvement plan and the district improvement plan companion one another. It also provides all of the history beginning in April 2004 when we started looking at the strategic planning process. It's also incorporated the duplicated or the most commonly submitted survey results from all the surveys that we put in there. Those are things that we will always be looking back at, that we're looking at as we write the district improvement plan. So that's just kind of an overview. The strategic plan is just kind of the foundation. It says here's the core values, here's the mission statement, here's the vision statement, how we came about founding those. During the survey process, what were some of the things that we found to be most important? The number one thing, and then you'll see this written throughout this entire strategic plan, is overwhelmingly the people of Foxborough were asking for more communication. We need to have more communication. And the communication not only is one of those core values, in fact it's the E in the CARE, but it's also referencing, again, when you write the district improvement plan, it's not just to say it would be nice to have this, but to communicate to everyone the why we would like to have that and to spread that over the next 3 years. I know the committee has had an opportunity to take a look at the strategic plan. Are there any questions that I can answer?
I think that the area that people are most frustrated with is that they thought the strategic plan was going to be the district improvement plan.
That's right.
And so as we went through this, as you know, as a liaison talking to parents, they kept saying, I want to know what are we going to do to improve math, or what are we going to do to improve English, or what are we going to do? And I don't see that. We spent all this time, 18 months, on a strategic plan that doesn't look like it adds any real value to anything. So the part that Jan and I have talked about that's frustrating is that it's hard to say, wait, this is just the preview, wait for the movie to start. But the DIP will be substantially more complex, more detailed, more analysis than people even begin to think today. And it will be the foundation which we should be using in our budget preparation each year. We should be using when we talk about curricula. We should be using in everything that we do. And that's what they're anxious to see. That's what they're frustrated to see. And I think that what they say to me is that for 8 years or 10 years, the school committee's had a policy about strategic planning that we've not followed. And that when you look at some of the school improvement plans, they deal with things like, let's get a new carpet for the library, let's get a new playground. And that they're saying, what I want to see is what you're talking about really in the district improvement plan. And they really want to see that. And so the sooner that we can get some public dialogue around the district improvement plan so that then those individual school improvement plans can feed into that, I think people will feel much more comfortable.
Tonight, right now the district improvement plan is on my computer, and it's 50 pages long. By the time we're finished with it, it will be at least 100 pages. Right now, it is in the hands, the academic pieces under C, are in the hands of the department heads, because it's imperative that we hear from them. So I need to get all of their information and bring it back and incorporate it into the plan. Tonight, while everyone was talking, I'm jotting down notes of things we want to make sure that we include in it. For example, Mr. Bortolotti said, we're talking about all the different things that he wants to do in technology, and I turned to Paul and said, I need a 3-year plan from Mr. Bortolotti that's going to show up in the district improvement plan. Again, this is the first time we've done this in Foxborough, so it's taken on a life of its own, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and at some point you have to say, okay, enough is enough. Mr. Iagata came this evening and asked about the handicap access to the buildings, and I have assured Mr. Iagata in the past and again this evening that it's something we will definitely investigate. It will show up in the district improvement plan that we will be investigating the viability of having that kind of access. There's any number of things that we need to be looking at that should be in this initial plan. Some of them come with a price tag, and so they will be directing your budget choices over the next 3 years. But again, because this is the first time for a district improvement plan, it's gotten huge, but I think that it's best for us to start out with a great big picture so that you can have a lens on everything. When I talked with Ms. Kaminsky, who is on the subcommittee, she said, please, in most districts and district improvement plans only put in math, English, and science because those are the MCAS areas. Ms. Kaminsky said, well, please include all of the subject areas. So there's foreign language, technology, social studies, and all of those other areas. So it's gathering that data and incorporating that data also. So I think you're going to find it to be a very comprehensive document. I keep making promises, provided I don't get run over by a bus, that will be available to you soon. Dr. Navedo has also put together a lot of information that she alluded to this evening during the visitors portion, and said that she is talking about, for example, EQA and strategic planning, and I have assured her that we will indeed have opportunities for, and as Mr. Harrington, Ms. Kaminsky, and I have discussed, once a draft goes out, the school committee has a chance to take a look at it, to make the changes that you want to. I think it is a document that would be imperative that we put before the public, because there's a lot of people who are looking at it. One of the cautions that I do have to make, even though I'm saying it's 100 pages long and it's going to encompass a lot of things, what we absolutely know about district improvement plans is we should only take on what we know we can achieve. So I can write a district improvement plan and we can put all the dreams in the world, but if we put it out there, it's lots of wishes and they become idle. So what we have to do is put some things up and say, what is it that we think we can logically accomplish in the next 3 years? And then, quite frankly, you need to hold us responsible for that.
Well, I think that's the question people have raised, is that without a rudder,
That's right.
how do you control where the ship's going? So when EQA comes in and says, let me look over the last 3 years, and they start with, well, what was your plan? Where were you heading for? You were sailing from Boston to wherever. Well, if you say, I'm not quite sure where I was going, then it's hard to measure whether you really took the right course or not. And so we're going to, I think, experience some difficulty on the EQA when they come in and say, well, you didn't have a strategic plan, you didn't have a district improvement plan. How do you know that you had a vision, or were you running things by the seat of your pants? And I think that's where the parents are anxious to see a DIP, because then they clearly know we're going, 20 degrees north by 13 degrees whatever. And they know where we want to be and how we want to get there, and they also know the kinds of programs that we're, as a school committee, going to support in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that makes it easier to understand. Even if you don't agree with everything that's in there, at least the majority of people agreed that's where we want to be within 2 or 3 years, and that's how we're going to get there, and then at least whether you agree or not, you know what the course of action is.
Well, as I said, the document is very cumbersome. It's very large,
Right.
And especially when you're just starting out from scratch. As time goes by, you shift some of the things that didn't happen because they were fiscally impossible, or things that weren't adopted, or any number of reasons, and so you start shifting those. Right now, we're trying to create this from scratch and implementing the template, making decisions about what kind of data we're going to be putting within the body of it, what kind of data is going to be in the appendix, how in-depth do we want the analysis to be, or do we want to get right into some of the assessments and those kinds of things, so and the wording on it. So right now, as I said, it's a huge document, but Mr. Harrington, I'm agreeing with you. I think that one of the most important things that the school committee has done is to adopt a curriculum cycle, because the curriculum cycle is already telling you where the money is going to get spent curricular-wise in the future. That same cycle then I take and I put right into the district improvement plan. And so I look at each subject and say, this isn't the year for science, that's next year. So you should see those two things companion one another. At the same time, when the schools are looking at things, they're looking also at the curriculum cycle, because it's embedded in the district improvement plan. And so it makes us, instead of scattered all over the place, it gives us a unified look at things. In the end, for example, the way that we've kind of had to fragment ourselves just because the bulk of the programs, et cetera, we did ELA and we only did a K through 6. And now we're doing 7 through 12. But look at us, we're looking at least doing 7 through 12. So we're not just leaving the high school out there to do it themselves. We're creating that bridge from the middle school to the high school. It's incredibly important. I've been watching so many email exchanges over, well, who's reading this, and why are they reading this, and how come we don't have the document that says you shouldn't be reading that story, because I want to be teaching that in the subsequent years. So Dr. Alardi and Diane Casilli, our ELA director, are working with Kathleen Keene and the teachers to get all of those things into place. It's just some logical documentation to have in place that we don't have at this point.
Jan, it sounds like from what you're saying that maybe one of the things that when we're going to be reviewing the DIP is also to be realistic about. I mean, we have been asking people for wish lists. We are wanting to hear what their vision is for their departments. But I think we do need to be realistic to look at those things may be needed. We want them, but it's, maybe it really needs to be past 3 years.
That's right.
And so, I mean, in an effort to control the magnitude of this document, because it has to be a workable document, it's going to be changing. We're going to use it as our, it's going to dictate what we do.
Absolutely.
And how we hold everyone accountable. So I guess maybe I think it's something that we'll need to keep in mind as well.
And I think the decision needs to go beyond the superintendent. It needs to go beyond the administrative team. It needs to go beyond the subcommittee. It should be open for a lot of discussion about the timing of things. I know that this, for example, here we talk a lot about improving the science labs at the high school. We've been talking about that since I've been here, and I'm just about into my second anniversary. It's coming up soon here. I'll be here for a whole 2 years. But we've talked a lot about those things. But the question is, if we want it, when are we going to be able to afford it? Where do we want to be looking at it? How far down the road do we want to look at it? Next year, the year after that, the year after that? Or do we want to break it into stages? Those are all different things that the school committee and I think the community needs to be looking at. So it's coming at you. I'll be so happy to get it off my desk. But the reason why I brought the strategic plan tonight is because it helps me. If I can get this foundation there and we've established that these are the things that you're looking for, allows me to go ahead and focus on the DIP instead of get the strategic plan off my desk.
Can you give the committee more than 2 days when you give us the 100-page document, though?
I don't think giving us the DIP Friday night for a Monday discussion will work.
It will not work.
That's fine.
It will not work.
I think we'll need a little bit.
Given how long I spent on the turnovers, Larry, I'm going to need more than.
I agree.
We can give it a bigger print too. Yeah, that's true too. We can do that too.
Did you want any further input from us?
I would
Dr. Norton?
love, if unless anybody has
If
any.
I may go first, if I could.
Absolutely.
And Larry and I met individually with Dr. Norton, and I just, and I have reviewed this several times, and I'm very comfortable with it. but there's one thing at the very end of the appendix.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't want you to go back and change anything, but it's been several weeks since we last talked about it, and wherever I see, I think it's important to have the history and to benchmark that at the end, so we don't, we're able to see the forest and not have the trees get in the way. But where it says SC, 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 I'm thinking that's school committee, and a lot of those were steering committee. Is there a key that we know which ones were the steering committees and which one was the
Where are you
school
looking
committee?
at?
Is this page
Can you find a page?
Yes,
Page
on
13, page 12,
and 13. I didn't realize until, because it's been several weeks since I looked at it, and SC, I don't
Pages 12 and
know if it's
13.
Oh, it's
steering committee or school
under,
committee.
it's under the process?
Yes, page
It's
2.
steering committee. Oh, no, wait a minute, it's not always.
Up above it says steering committee parentheses SC. On the third line, Kate, on page 12,
Yeah.
under Phase 1 Foundation, steering committee parentheses SC, so that all the
So
SCs
go forward is
represent
all
steering
SC.
committee.
Okay, so it will not represent it all.
So
That's
where
correct.
is
It's all
that?
steering committee.
On page 12,
It's defined at the top of
the
the
third
page.
line,
Oh, the
second
SC, you're
bullet,
right.
second bullet.
Because the school committee is written out on other
Right.
pages.
And the other thing, Martha had just mentioned, on page 13, at the bottom of page 13, we've changed this since when Larry and I talked with you separately because of people's schedule and whatnot. It does say an open subcommittee meeting will review the document before it is taken to the school committee for acceptance. So since this is the historical item, we probably just want to make sure that we didn't have a subcommittee meeting per se. What we did is we met individually
That's
because of schedule.
Oh, that-
And that was
absolutely.
more convenient.
That's
So
correct.
we should probably just reflect that so somebody doesn't come back and say, well, the school committee, subcommittee never presented their findings.
Or that it
Because we're
wasn't
kind of
posted or
Oh,
something.
okay, yeah, I see it,
Okay.
I see it. And besides that, it should say "and" instead of
And which,
She's talking about in the middle of the page 13.
No, actually, it's
Yeah.
the
The fourth
bottom,
bullet.
no, the
The
bottom.
middle.
It's
No,
it's
okay.
the middle,
Middle
it's the
too?
fourth bullet down in the middle. It says open, which is, set the hair up on my
Oh, I can't
neck, but
see.
open subcommittee meeting will review the document before it is taken to the school committee for
right, that's
acceptance.
the very last
Right,
bullet.
That's the
on
last
page
bullet on
30.
page 13 on ours. It might be different on yours because of the way the
Oh,
split.
you-
Remember how you said the appendix thing got split? So that's probably why.
So, and,
That-
So on this one,
AN.
the one that we have, it's at the bottom.
yeah, you have it in the right place.
Okay.
It should have said EN.
What, you've got the
But
good,
she's
my
gonna have to change that
computer
because
wasn't
we did
talking to my
come-
printer
Right.
well,
Okay, so
and
it's
it
gonna be
shifted
a
an
lid?
entire page.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I had the correct line.
Okay.
But we're going to delete that bullet
Delete it
because
completely.
it doesn't,
Okay.
it's not true.
so we'll delete that?
And Kate, do you prefer that instead of, as I said, I defined steering committee as SC? Do you want me to go
When I
through
read it,
all the
I
SCs?
I understood it, but tonight I just, because Martha had passed something to me, and I just honed in there, and all of a sudden I couldn't.
Couldn't remember. But
That's
it's
right, the
Because I started on
secretary did the
page
same
13.
thing. She
I
said
didn't go
every
back.
time it's SC is always school committee, so
I always
that's
thought,
why
how did I
I've
miss
defined
that?
it, in the document.
I
One
just
must
had
start
a
with page
question,
12 and then go
Jan,
back.
about page 14 and 15, the suggestions.
Yes.
Those aren't all of the suggestions.
No, it isn't.
But I
Well, because there's hundreds of them.
Exactly, I know. So
But it's the ones that either, what I did was I selected, phraseology that was very similar to others. So if I took them and sorted them.
Okay.
And I said, okay, all of these say this, and all of these say this.
Okay.
There were some outlanders, for example, teach Chinese in high school, and I didn't incorporate that because if you read it, it says, it's just a representation.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's clear from what you wrote there. It said suggestions included, and I guess I didn't know if you just wanted to.
It just says
Some
it
of the
suggests
suggestions.
Yeah.
included, it doesn't say it's not all
Maybe
of them.
some of the suggestions
Yeah,
included
it
were.
said that on both.
You want me to put some suggested?
Yes.
So some suggestions included?
On both of those, yes,
Okay.
because having been to those meetings and seeing all of the different suggestions, people may.
Yeah, good. Well, and as I said,
obviously-
a lot of it are duplicate meaning.
Right.
So what I did was I
Certainly.
took them all, we sorted them, and actually, it wasn't just me, it was the entire committee did that. Just to let you know, this document was given to the entire steering committee, and they also approved these things and said they
So you're
were
gonna change that
representational
15,
of
some also.
all of the comments that we received.
Jan, on page 15, you're going to do the same thing, some
Yeah.
suggestions included?
Yes.
Okay.
I really like the
15?
history,
Right
how you
over
gave
here.
it a history.
You like it?
Yes, I did. I think
Sounds
it's important.
Yeah.
Well, I think because we spent so much time, you spent 3 years on it, you want to know what did we do over the 3 years.
Right.
So I think that it was really important to incorporate in this.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
As opposed to some suggestions included, if you sorted in categories, maybe we should say common themes that were reflected in the comments or something like that, because it's not just a random sampling of it's
Yeah.
actually categories of the things that were represented.
Okay,
Some
so
common
so
themes.
common
Common
themes.
themes reflected in the comments or something like that, so people know
So
that you,
rather than the word suggestions, right?
yeah, that they encompass the majority of key points.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
Do you need a motion to approve?
I would love a motion to approve.
I would move to approve with the changes that we recommended tonight.
I'll second that,
And accept the document.
Right.
as amended.
Kate will second it. And all those in favor? 5.
A historic day in Foxborough. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was not said lightly. A lot of time.
And
and
the real
effort into
historic
this.
day will be when the DIP.
I understand that, Larry. I'm getting old while I sit here thinking about that DIP. And it gets bigger and bigger. As I said, I sat here tonight and said, oh, there's 3 more items. We've got to get into the DIP. So it's...
We just need to get it approved before the committee changes again.
All right, next.
So they don't start over again.
Hopefully it won't be before
That's how
then,
you
but,
Well, you don't want to start all
I
over
think that was
again.
part of the reason it was left, we didn't do it, because we never got a plan with goals and objectives. We just talked about it for a number of years.
Just pray I don't get hit by a bus before that's written, because it's all in here.
Do we need to call Mr. Bertolotti and talk about that server and backup?
No, unfortunately, most of it's on my laptop at home.
Okay, EQA accountability update, Dr. Norton.
The purpose of this report tonight is just to give an idea. We keep saying at this meeting, oh, EQA is coming. Poor Mr. Harrington recently asked, for help on the drug and alcohol abuse, and I said no help for anybody at our central office until EQA is over. So I thought that it was important for me to go ahead and just kind of give a brief overview of what EQA is. I noticed that the Nevadas also put this into their newsletter today. The EQA examination process is one that comes from the Department of Education. It was with the Department of Education, it left the Department of Education, it came back to the Department of Education. Its purpose is not to be as critical as it is to be supportive. I am quoting the director of EQA, who I spoke with on the phone today, because I wanted to get some guidance from him also. I have been asked from several people, so how are we going to do on the EQA? How are we going to do on the EQA? And he reiterated from me that it's very important that we allow EQA to go through their own process. And then, of course, I will respond to some of the things that we've done. Understand that the EQA is evaluating Foxborough in regards to leadership, curriculum and instruction, assessment and evaluation systems, student academic support systems, human resource management, professional development, and the financial systems for the previous 3 years. That is not this school year. So it was the 3 years prior to now. We keep talking about a lot of the different, tonight you just adopted the strategic plan. It was in the process. We've been dealing with it over the 3 years. So we will submit it to EQA to take a look at it, but you just adopted it now. And it was not adopted during the 3 years under the evaluation. It's very important for everybody to understand. So a lot of the different things that we've been talking about here, some of the curriculum changes that we are making, certainly all of the budget efforts that Mr. Harrington and Mr. Jackson have been putting forward for everybody to see where all the changes and things. Those are not part of the EQA evaluation. So the EQA evaluation, once again, is evaluating the previous 3 years. So once we get the initial report back from them, I would be more than happy to discuss with the school committee, and I have promised that I will do such a thing, is to discuss some of the things that we've already put into place to remedy what we already saw lacking. The EQA has 6 essential questions. The central question is, to what extent is the critical analysis of student achievement data a driving force in the planning, design, and implementation of the school and district improvement plans? Notice it references a district improvement plan. We don't have one. It is important for me to mention at this point, legally, we did not have to have one because we've always made AYP. It was not until we did not make AYP that legally we were responsible for a DIP. I think that we've already discussed in depth the idea that the process and how it's beneficial to everyone to have one in place. The EQA takes a look at achievement and proficiency. It asks, to what extent is the MCAS performance of all the district students meeting or exceeding state proficiency standards? And you will definitely see that in the DIP. I've dumped all of the MCAS results in there as regards for the last 3 years. Equity of achievement. How do MCAS performances vary among the district student subgroups? That comes out in the AYP report, something that we've discussed here at the school committee. I just referenced a minute ago AYP, and that would be our student performance on MCAS in the subgroup of special education, grades 6 through 8 in mathematics, did not make their goal. That is how much achievement do they need to make over a period of time so that by 2014, all students in that subgroup are at the proficiency level, and so we're putting an enormous amount of time and energy and money into that at the middle school. But again, that's what we're doing this year, and it's not going to show up in the EQA report because it's what we're doing now. Improvement. How has MCAS performance for all students in the district changed over time? Equity of improvement. How has MCAS performance for the district student subgroups changed over time? And opportunity and access. Are all eligible students participating in all required assessments? Those are things that they will be able to see through the documents that Dr. Lardy, and it's very important that I spend just a second and thank Dr. Lardy for all of her efforts to gather all of these documents together. It has been an enormous task. I also want to thank the school committee. If you had not accepted my recommendation to have Dr. Lardy come down as a .5 assistant superintendent, we would not be able to reflect all the things that have been done for Foxborough, so I really appreciate your efforts as well as hers. The documents that Dr. Lardy has submitted that will be reviewed by the committee prior to coming here, so they will start reviewing things in 2 weeks, and then they will be here for 4 solid days. Dr. Lardy and myself and the conference room at central office will be turned over to EQA for 4 days. So if you're looking for me, I'm not in my office. I'm going to be sitting on Wendy Will's lap because I don't know where else to go. But at any rate, what they will do is look at this data. They have asked us for 4 days worth of interviews. Most of them are administrative. They don't want to see teachers, so administrators and department heads to discuss some of the data, make sure that they understand the data and some of the things that we have been doing. The information they have asked for are curriculum benchmarks and curriculum documents for grades 3 through 10 in the content areas of English language arts, mathematics, and science. If you think about it, those are the MCAS testing areas. Budget documents. End-of-year financial reports. Mr. Jackson was talking about the end-of-the-year financial report for 2005. Results of audits and other outside program evaluations. Contracts. Professional development plans and programming. Procedures for supervision and evaluation of all employees. Student success and remediation plans. standardized test data, time on learning reports. And again, if you remember when the chief was here and he was talking about the program, it's not like we can take some time away, provide some other, other opportunities. We need to make sure that we provide our students with an adequate amount of time on task and within the curriculum. Employee licenses and qualifications, employee attendance, facilities data, for example, the condition, size, and date of construction, and all emergency plans. These, again, are things that we have been working on as a team this fall. Some of the things are in place. Again, we need to take a look, have EQA take a look at it and evaluate us, and we will respond to it.
Jan,
Yeah.
if you put something into place in 2006,
Yes.
it doesn't count for 543.
That's correct.
But will they look at that and give you their feedback on that anyway?
Only in that, well, it's difficult to tell, Larry, at this point, because there's only one other school district that has been evaluated under the new standards. When the Department of Education reabsorbed EQA, it changed the documents that it's looking at, and it also changed the voice that they will be using during this process. So if you want to take a look at it, if anybody wants to take a look at it, you can go to the Department of Education, type in EQA. It'll take you to their site under the Hudson School District report. It's the only one that's posted, and it gives you an idea. It's 114 pages long. It gives you an idea of the extent to which they will be doing this review. What we did was we tapped our newest assistant principal, Alan Keller, at the middle school, and we said, well, all right, so you were an English teacher. Go through the entire Hudson report, take a look at all of the interview groups that the EQA wants to look at, and from what they wrote into the report, what were the questions that they asked, so that we can prepare ourselves. And he did a magnificent job. So it's very important that I talk about Alan this evening. So it's very helpful to us. With only one school district out there, we don't know exactly what the lens is that they are using. As I said, I talked with the director of EQA today to just kind of get a little bit better idea. Unfortunately, he was on his cell phone in his car. He needs to call me back again tomorrow. So we're just trying to put some of this information together. So we're one of those novice groups that's out there under the new system. There's only one report, as I said, out there. But it's very in-depth, a lot of interview, what people have to say. The school committee, it's the previous school committee, so the three on that side. The school committee, and I've already talked to the three of you, we'll be meeting with them. I believe it's January 31st at 4:30 in the afternoon. So at any rate, I will be interviewed at length. Dr. Tyrrell will also be interviewed. It's required part of EQA, so she will be contacted and interviewed as part of this process. So that's where we are on EQA. I just needed people to understand what it is, the enormity of the documentation that they're asking for, the idea that they are going to spend 2 days at their offices looking at our information that we submit to them, and then they will be in our district. Not only will they be doing interviews, they will also be in the buildings, taking a look at all of our facilities, as well as doing classroom observations. If there are any teachers who are watching, but I hope they're not because it's 20 minutes of 12, so I hope that they're home sleeping so they'll be doing a good job tomorrow. But in the event that they're watching or they watch the recording of this, it's not an evaluation of the teacher. They want to see the implementation of the curriculum and the frameworks, across the board. So it'll the statements that they put into the report have to do with of all the classrooms that they looked at. Here's the implementation of the curriculum. So it's not any individual evaluations at all.
Can I add a couple?
Go for it. You the boss.
In terms of the interviews with teachers, as Dr. Norton said, they won't be doing those during the course of the day. They've made a commitment to try not to pull people out of the classroom on the last day of their visit, or second to the last day of the visit, they will do teacher focus groups after school hours. They're open public meetings, and all teachers are invited to attend. They'll be held in each of the, one at the high school, one at the middle school, one at one of the 3 elementary buildings. So there will be teacher focus groups, but they won't be during the course of the interview schedule. And in response to your question, Larry, about the additional documentation, things that we have been working on this year, my plan at this point is to submit those documents reflecting that they're new initiatives. I don't know whether they will recognize that in the report. We have a different team than Hudson had as well, so it's the new standards, but they're 2 different teams. But my plan is to provide the documentation with notes that they're new initiatives that are currently underway, and I'd rather give more documentation, and then, if they reflect on that, they do.
Well, they may take the time to look at that and critique it, which would be
And
helpful
give us feedback,
for the
too.
next cycle that they would come on.
It'll be very helpful because they can give us some idea of some directions that we need to go in. But also, this is going to be on a website for the next 10 years, and we certainly want. We admittedly have some documentation that is missing. However, a lot of efforts have been put in place. We just don't have the documents to substantiate them. So we'd like to have it reflect the efforts that we've been putting forward.
Any other questions?
I know it's late, but I got other matters. May I? I'm sorry. Are we any other questions on EQA?
I don't think so.
Well, this is important because I need you to accept some money.
Oh, yes! This is right up Kate's alley, pay attention.
We have a donation to the IGO school.
Just will all say.
Please be advised that the IGO Elementary School has received an anonymous donation in the amount of $500. This donation was made with a request that the funds be used specifically toward supporting the playground area. Recommend the school committee accept this anonymous donation, please.
Can we have a motion?
I have a motion that we accept our anonymous.
Beverly make a motion, Kate will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Andrew Felix has asked to donate an MS-2013 portable scoreboard and wireless console for $4,000. This is to be used for field hockey, lacrosse, cross-country, soccer, and wrestling. I'd like you to accept his gift of a $4,000 scoreboard and wireless console, please.
Is that the kind that we really need?
It's the kind we absolutely have.
Kate's making the motion.
I'll second it.
Katie will second it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Really important things. Just very briefly, we alluded to it earlier. I just wanted to thank the parents that did show up at the January 3rd math review. It was really wonderful. I asked Andrea if I could report on this, and she said, "No, don't steal my thunder." So I really want to thank the parents who came out for that. They substantiated a lot of the things that we believed we knew, but it was an important part of the review process to involve parents.
How many parents were there?
The 18.
18.
There were 24 total, 6 of us administrators.
That was also the night of the funeral for one of our students.
Absolutely.
So it was a
And it was January 3rd. But we needed to have it up front before we start putting together criteria for looking at new programs. So it was imperative that we talk to parents about, what do they like about our old program? What are some things they want to see in our new program? And we needed to hear it before we take a look at any new programs.
Some parents that weren't able to attend did respond and give feedback through the survey that we sent home, so we do have some additional data to that.
And Kay Naylor is going to hate me for this. I think you need to give her another week because she keeps saying, give me one more week. But I really want to thank Mike O'Leary and his team. Over Christmas break, and they made some big changes for us at the Taylor School.
Looks really nice.
There were 2 very important areas that I felt were hazardous to students. One of them was in the lobby, the countertop was so high that you couldn't see children walking underneath it. Also, if somebody crouched down and we didn't happen to see them in the TV monitor, somebody could get into the building. So for security purposes, it was imperative that we get that countertop down where it belongs. Paul did a really great job of getting a gentleman to build a new countertop for us. It took out all of the there were 2 desks, believe it or not. There was a computer hutch as well as a desk, and then 2 little tables, one for that held the printer and one that held the fax machine. All of that is now down and built into a really beautiful console area. So that just gave a facelift to the entire area out there. At the same time, we were able to find some old tiles. So another issue that we had is we can provide more help to people into the library when there's a lot of students, because the secretary can now see through the window that's there that had previously been blocked for the last 30 years by a trophy case. So we were able to remove that and put some more tiles in there. While we were making all these changes, we painted the paneling because it had just gotten old and dried out. So there wasn't anything that we could do to patch it, so we painted in a nice, pleasant beige. At the same time, in the library itself, we had 2 more hazardous areas having to do with the carpet, where the chairs had been rubbing back and forth, so there were holes in the carpet. There was also one section of the carpet that had a big old ripple in it. I kept looking at it and picturing a child taking a nosedive, or one of the teachers taking a nosedive. So Michael Leary and his team over Christmas removed that carpeted area as well as the tiled area that was under the bookcases, replaced it with a nice carpet that we can expect to last for a while, painted the walls, and put all the bookcases back. The reason I'm saying it's taking a little while is because we had to remove all of the books and put all the books back in again. We also have a parent who has volunteered to paint some scenes on the walls. We're talking to her about some different things that we're going to do. The kids, I've had 2 parents who said, it's too bright in here. The kids love it, and we have to remember that it's an elementary school. So it's the carpet itself is called Jewel. It's multicolored, and it's pinks and yellows and blues, etc. The walls are a nice bright green, so it's very appropriate for an elementary school, and I'm very excited about it. While we were at the Taylor School, we're giving that facelift. Let's also thank Paul Bortolotti, Erica, and Rich, because what you were hearing tonight in their presentation is every time there was a problem with the technology system, it was always happening at the Taylor, and it's because they had such a variety of such a variety of computers. They had old Macs, and then they had Dells at all different ages, so it was incredibly difficult to try to get a common image, and they've replaced all of those computers over there. So those teachers at the Taylor should be smiling. I understand there will be an opportunity for all of you to go over and enjoy all of this, but I did want to bring it to everybody's attention. Thank you very much to Paul and his team and Michael Leary and his team. Lots of effort over there.
You did an outstanding job.
I just would like to make mention that we will be rebroadcast on Friday at noontime and at 7 p.m. at night, Saturday at 7 p.m., and Sunday at noontime. So that's a huge improvement for us. So anybody who couldn't stay up late tonight, you can catch us on the second show. And I'd like to thank the committee. This was an incredible meeting tonight. I appreciate the fact that we all stayed awake this long and that we were involved, and I thought it was a great meeting tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.
Might I just have 1 minute, if I
Absolutely.
could? You've talked before about setting up a joint meeting with the planning board so we could talk about
Yes.
the houses that are being built and the number of children, et cetera. As they finish Patriot Place work, which I think I read in the paper they're getting close to, maybe we can set an agenda item for the March timeframe to have a joint meeting with the planning board so we clearly understand the
With the
path of
buildable.
these additional homes and what it's going to mean. Also, Wednesday night, Mike and Paul and I will be taping Charlie's cable show to talk about the tour we did of the schools and talk a little about the age of each school and talk about the equipment. And just like the people here get the live, we're going to try to recap it for them so that they can see it on that and hear it.
What time is that show going to be?
Well, we're taping it Wednesday. I'm not sure when he's actually broadcasting.
Oh, yeah,
We're going
have
to
tape.
put it in the can, I think is the expression, and then he'll air it when it's appropriate.
Okay.
So you'll let us know what the dates are.
Right, yes.
For airing.
Right, and then there's just the last item is, we've talked before about on Fridays when the material comes to us, to make the material available either through the internet or available for citizens if they want to look at it. Have we implemented that so if someone comes on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, they can get the same kind of information that was mailed to us? Or?
Yes, provided that the committee has had an opportunity to look at it in some form. For example, the strategic plan, not only all of the committee had an opportunity to take a look at it, so we did not release that. It was only within the subcommittee, so it was only in committee. But all of the other information we certainly can post.
Okay, I think what probably would like to do in the future then, if it's possible, if there's something like this, if we could get it at the beginning of the week, and I know time was an issue here, if we as a committee got it at the beginning of the week, then we could post it by Thursday or Friday for anybody out in the public who wanted to see it. Because not everybody wants to come to every meeting, but certainly if they saw something of this proportion and wanted to come and comment on it, then certainly they'd have a little bit more insight to it. So something like this, if we got it at the beginning of the week, then we could post it at the end of the week.
Hard for someone who came tonight, picked up the strategic plan,
to
read
look
it,
at it.
digest it,
Yeah.
and prepare to ask questions.
Just so you understand, last week, of course, was a short week.
No, and I'm saying
and
that.
when it was the first week back after the holiday,
Yeah.
so the
It's just
an outline.
thinking ahead, looking ahead,
Be happy to
and
take a
more
look
than
at
anything
it.
else.
Make our best effort.
Right.
Okay.
That's all.
Anybody, anything else?
I'd just like to thank Cable Access for the extra effort they're putting
Yeah.
in to support us and to make communication easier for everybody. And they have published a little pamphlet
On when it's available?
on when it's available and how people could get copies for them.
Maybe we
I
could do a quick press release to the Foxborough Reporter so they could publish a little story on it, or send them one of those.
Why don't somebody fax this over both sides to Frank tomorrow?
I could drive it over tomorrow.
Okay, all
And
right.
I
Because then
hand it.
maybe you can get a little story in for people.
Okay, and the name of the gentleman out back is? Who's doing our broadcasting?
Well,
Mike.
Mike is
All right.
tonight, and special thanks to Mike, he gets the baptism with the longest.
The longest meeting, thank you,
But we will
Mike.
promise you, Mike, that not all of the 2007 meetings
Meetings will be this line.
And I
Okay.
just would like to wish everybody a healthy, wonderful new year. And one of my favorite Russian expressions, in translation, may your heart be light, may your purse be heavy.
And the same for the Foxborough school system. May I just ask one question, just so we, our next meeting, we'll spend a lot of time with the budget. Is that when, Larry, you're saying you're going to bring in the planning board, or we'll be ready with our questions? or-
No, this will be
He said
in
March.
March.
Okay.
March
The
meeting.
purpose of the
So-
planning board is to talk about future growth for long-term planning purposes.
Within the.
So where are we with the budget? Basically, we've gone through just about all the groups, so we'll be spending our next meeting,
When's our public hearing? 29th.
and we have one on the
The
22nd.
22nd will be for discussion.
Okay,
On the
22nd.
22nd, what they intend to come back with is, they submitted the budget we've been talking about some time ago. Paul and Jan have made some revisions to that, they've made some changes to that, some of that we've discussed as we've gone along. So on the 22nd, they're going to come in and they're going to recap kind of what they've told us and what changes they've made, so that we can have, some healthy discussion. And then on the 29th would be an open public hearing, where at the end of that night, we would have to approve a budget to be submitted to the advisory committee.
It's also, Kate, when you asked previously for the administration to prioritize those staff positions, it's when I will present that to you.
I'm sorry, is that the 22nd? or the-
22nd.
All right, so we have
You all set?
no meeting next week, but one the 22nd and one the 29th.
That's correct.
And when will we get those changes?
Right.
I mean, how prior to that
ASAP.
20?
Well, it's almost tomorrow. Kate, I'm sorry, I can't make promises to you because Paul and I are just going to have to sit down and talk about it. We'll do it as soon as we,
We'll have them
we'll
in
do it
a
as
timely
quickly as we
manner.
possibly
In
can.
a timely manner.
In a timely manner. Very good answer. No promises. Soon.
All right. Can we have a motion?
To adjourn?
Second.
Katie and Beverly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Night.